Hana moved through the grand hallways of the palace like a ghost. Her cleaning cloth swept across the marble floors in steady, rhythmic motions. The alien nobles walked past her without a second glance. To them, she was nothing. Just another broken human who couldn't speak. 2 years had passed since the attack on her ship. 2 years since she watched her crew die in the cold vacuum of space. 2 years since she made the choice that saved her life but cost her voice. Or so everyone believed. The Viridian Empire's palace was a monument to power. Crystal towers reached toward the purple sky of Nexara Prime. Inside, everything gleamed with wealth and authority. Hana had learned every corner of this place, every hidden passage, every secret door. She listened to everything while pretending to hear nothing that mattered. The servants knew her as the mute human, the one who survived the diplomatic massacre. They pitied her. They gave her the easiest tasks because they thought she was simple-minded. They spoke freely around her, discussing palace secrets as if she were furniture. Hana understood every word. She had studied the Viridian language for years before her mission. Now, after 2 years of listening, she spoke it better than most natives. But she never let them know. Silence was her greatest weapon. Today, the palace buzzed with unusual energy. Prince Kalor was returning from the outer colonies. The crown prince, loved by his people, celebrated as a war hero. Hana had observed him from a distance before. Tall, with the characteristic blue-tinted skin of the Viridian royal family. His eyes were sharp, intelligent, dangerous. She cleaned the grand entrance hall as the welcoming party assembled. Ambassador Doyen stood among the Viridian officials. He was human, like her. One of the few allowed in the palace. He was here to negotiate a peace treaty. After decades of small conflicts, both sides seemed ready to stop fighting. Hana wanted to believe in peace. But something felt wrong. She had learned to trust her instincts in this place. Princess Lyris appeared on the grand staircase. She was younger than her brother, with softer features and eyes that seemed to look deeper than most. The princess had an ability that made many Viridians uncomfortable. She could sense emotions, feel what others felt. Some called it a gift, others called it a curse. The princess had always been kind to Hana. She would pause sometimes, watching the mute servant with curious eyes. Hana had to be especially careful around her. She kept her emotions neutral, her mind focused on simple tasks, nothing that would reveal the intelligence hiding behind her silent mask. Trumpets announced Prince Kalor's arrival. He entered with his personal guard, dressed in ceremonial armor that caught the light. The crowd applauded. Ambassador Doyen stepped forward with a respectful bow. "Your Highness," Doyen said in careful Viridian. "Welcome home. We are honored by your presence for these important negotiations." Kalor smiled warmly. "Ambassador, I am pleased to see progress toward peace. My father, the Emperor, wishes nothing more than harmony between our peoples." The words were perfect. The tone was genuine. Everyone in the room believed him. But Hana noticed something others missed. When Kalor thought no one was watching, his smile faded. His eyes grew cold, just for a moment. Then the mask returned. She continued cleaning, invisible in her silence. The banquet that night was magnificent. Tables overflowed with food from a dozen worlds. Musicians played haunting melodies. Hana served drinks, moving between guests like a shadow. The nobles discussed the coming treaty. They spoke of trade agreements and cultural exchanges. They imagined a future without war. Princess Lyris sat at the high table picking at her food. She looked unhappy despite the celebration. Her eyes kept drifting to her brother, who charmed everyone around him. Hana noticed the princess's discomfort. There was doubt there. Perhaps even suspicion. Halfway through the banquet, Prince Kalor excused himself. He spoke briefly with General Vex, the military commander, then left through a side door. It was smoothly done. Most people didn't notice, but Hana noticed everything. She waited 3 minutes. Then she picked up her cleaning supplies and followed. The corridors grew quieter as she moved away from the celebration. Her bare feet made no sound on the cold floors. She had mapped these passages months ago. She knew where Kaylor was going before he got there. The restricted wing. The place where even most nobles couldn't enter. Hana used a service entrance she had discovered. The security systems didn't monitor the servants' paths closely. Another benefit of being dismissed as harmless. She climbed narrow stairs meant for maintenance workers, stone walls pressed close on both sides. She emerged in a hidden alcove overlooking a private chamber. Through a ventilation grate, she could see into the room below. Prince Kaylor stood alone, activating a communication device. The technology was advanced, definitely military grade, not something used for casual conversation. A holographic image appeared. The figure was distorted, identity hidden, but the voice was clear. "The pieces are in place," Kaylor said. "The humans suspect nothing. They actually believe we want peace." Hana's blood went cold. Her heart hammered in her chest. She forced herself to breathe slowly, silently. "And the colonies?" the distorted voice asked. "The attack is scheduled for the treaty signing. While Earth's leaders celebrate peace, their outer settlements will burn. By the time they realize what happened, it will be too late." "What about the girl? The survivor from the diplomatic ship?" Kaylor laughed. "The mute one? She's broken, harmless. I made sure of that when I ordered the attack on her vessel. Killing her crew broke her mind. She's the perfect example of human weakness." Hana's hands trembled. She gripped her cleaning cloth until her knuckles went white. He had ordered it. The attack that killed her friends. It wasn't random violence. It was murder, calculated, deliberate. "Your father won't approve this plan," the voice said. "My father is old and weak. After the humans are dealt with, there will be changes in the Empire. I will make us strong again." The conversation continued, but Hana barely heard it. Her mind raced. She had to tell someone, warn Ambassador Doyen, stop this madness. But how? If she revealed herself, they would kill her before she could expose the truth. She needed proof, evidence that couldn't be dismissed. The communication ended. Kaylor straightened his uniform and left the chamber. Hana remained frozen in her hiding spot. Her carefully constructed cover, her 2 years of silence, her endless patience, all of it suddenly felt fragile. She had to act, but she had to be smart. Hana carefully made her way back to the servants' quarters. Her mind worked through possibilities and plans. She was so focused on her thoughts that she didn't notice someone waiting in her small room until she opened the door. Princess Lyris sat on her bed. The princess looked up as Hana entered. Her eyes were sad but determined. The door closed behind Hana with a soft click. The sound felt like a trap snapping shut. "We need to talk," Princess Lyris said softly. "And I know you can." Hana stood frozen in the doorway. Every muscle in her body tensed for action. Fight or run. Those were her options. But Princess Lyris made no threatening moves. She simply sat there, hands folded in her lap, waiting. "Please," the princess said. "Close the door. We don't have much time." Hana's mind raced through calculations. If Lyris had come to arrest her, guards would be here too. If she planned to kill her, she wouldn't have come alone. The princess was taking a risk by being here. That meant something. Slowly, Hana closed the door. She remained standing, ready to react. Her training had never left her, even after 2 years of pretending to be helpless. Lyris smiled sadly. "You're deciding if you can kill me before I call for help. The answer is yes. You probably could, but I'm not your enemy." "Then what are you?" Hana's voice came out rough. She hadn't spoken above a whisper in so long. The words felt strange in her mouth. "I am someone who has been watching you just as carefully as you've been watching us." Lyris stood up slowly, keeping her movements non-threatening. I have an ability. I feel emotions, not thoughts, but feelings, strong ones especially. Hana remembered, the princess's gift, or curse. 2 years ago, when you first arrived, I felt your grief. It was like standing in a storm. Everyone believed you were simple, broken. But beneath the grief, I felt something else. Anger, purpose, intelligence. You were hiding. Why didn't you report me? Because I felt something else too, around my brother. Lyris walked to the small window. Outside, the palace gardens glowed with bioluminescent flowers. Deception, ambition, something dark growing inside him. I love my brother, but I'm not blind. He's changed over the years, become someone I don't recognize. Hana considered her options. Trust was dangerous, but she was running out of time. I heard him tonight, talking about an attack during the treaty signing. Lyris closed her eyes. I feared as much. He's been meeting secretly with military commanders, planning something, but I have no proof, no way to stop him. My father adores Kalor. He would never believe me without evidence. I can get evidence. How? One person against the Crown Prince's entire network? Hana stepped closer. I've been invisible for 2 years. I know this palace better than most people who work here. I know the secret passages, the blind spots in security, the places where people say things they shouldn't. Lyris turned to face her. Hope flickered in her eyes. You're talking about espionage. If you're caught, they'll execute you. They'll execute me anyway if Kalor's attack succeeds. At least this way I can fight back. Hana sat down on her bed. The weight of 2 years of silence suddenly felt heavy. I watched my crew die. My captain, my friends. They trusted the diplomatic mission. They believed we were building peace. Kalor murdered them to stop that peace. I won't let him do it again. What do you need from me? Access, information, and one more thing. Hana looked directly at the princess. There was another survivor from my ship, a tech specialist named Jiho. They told me everyone died, but I never saw his body. Lyris's expression shifted. Guilt crossed her face. He's alive. I saved him. He's been working in the maintenance section, fixing computer systems. I kept him hidden because I thought I might need help one day. Someone I could trust. Relief flooded through Hana. Jiho was alive. Her navigator, her friend. Can you get me to him? Tonight. The banquet will continue for hours. No one will miss either of us. They moved through the palace like ghosts. Lyris knew paths that even Hana hadn't discovered. The princess had been preparing for something like this, perhaps without realizing it. She had contingencies, exit routes, hidden allies among the lower servants. The maintenance section was deep in the palace's lower levels. Steam pipes ran along the ceilings. The air smelled of oil and metal. Jiho worked in a small room filled with computer equipment. He looked thinner than Hana remembered. His hair had grown long. But when he looked up and saw her, his eyes went wide. Hana? His voice cracked. They said you couldn't speak, that you were... It was an act. She crossed the room and pulled him into a brief hug. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. I couldn't risk it. Jiho looked at Princess Lyris with suspicion. And her? She's helping us. Listen, we don't have time for long explanations. Kalor is planning an attack during the treaty signing. We need to stop him, but we need proof first. Jiho's expression hardened. Tell me what you need. Over the next hour, they formed a plan. Jiho would hack into the palace security systems. Not to disable them, that would be noticed, but to create blind spots. Small gaps in coverage that would give Hana access to restricted areas, places where Kalor met with his conspirators. His next meeting is tomorrow night, Lyris said. I heard him mention it to General Vex. They're gathering in the war room beneath the palace. It's supposed to be sealed. I can unseal it, Jiho said, his fingers already flying over his keyboard. "Give me 12 hours." Hana spent the next day preparing. She moved through the palace normally, cleaning and serving, but inside she was reviewing plans, memorizing layouts, preparing for every possible outcome. That night, everything went smoothly at first. Jiho created his blind spots. Hana slipped into the restricted areas using maintenance tunnels. Lyris remained in her quarters, establishing an alibi. If something went wrong, the princess couldn't be implicated. The war room was exactly where Lyris said it would be. Through another ventilation shaft, Hana positioned a tiny recording device that Jiho had built from spare parts. Military-grade security might have detected it, but Kaelor wouldn't expect surveillance in his own stronghold. Voices echoed up from below. Kaelor entered with 6 others. Hana recognized General Vex and several high-ranking officers. But there were others, too. Aliens from different species. One of them made her blood run cold. A Crovar warrior. The Crovar were known across the galaxy as mercenaries and killers. Their entire culture revolved around warfare. They took contracts from anyone who could pay. They had no loyalty except to violence. "Gentlemen," Kaelor addressed the group, "in 3 days, the treaty will be signed. Earth's diplomats will celebrate their great achievement. Meanwhile, our Crovar allies will decloak their ships around the human colonies. The attacks will be swift and total." The Crovar warrior's voice was rough like grinding stones. "And our payment? Once the human worlds are conquered, you will have the mining rights to their asteroid belt. Enough resources to fund your wars for a century." "What about your father?" General Vex asked. He sounded uncertain. "The Emperor won't approve genocide." Kaelor smiled coldly. "My father has grown weak in his old age. He speaks of peace and cooperation. But the Empire wasn't built on peace. It was built on strength. After this victory, after I show our people what real leadership looks like, there will be changes, starting at the top." Hana's recording device captured everything, every word, every conspirator's face. This was the evidence they needed. She carefully began to retreat, moving slowly to avoid making any sound. Then Kaelor did something unexpected. He looked up, directly at the ventilation shaft. Directly at where Hana was hiding. He smiled. "I know you're there," he said calmly. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice the security gaps? The little blind spots in our coverage? I've been aware of your surveillance from the beginning." Alarms began to sound. Emergency lights flooded the corridors. Hana heard boots running toward her position. She grabbed her recording device and ran. The maintenance tunnels became a maze of chaos. Guards appeared at every junction. They weren't trying to capture her anymore. They were shooting to kill. Energy blasts scorched the walls inches from her head. Hana's training kicked in. She dodged, rolled, moved with precision through the narrow spaces. She was smaller and faster than the Viridian guards. That gave her an advantage, but there were so many of them. She burst into a larger corridor. Jiho appeared from a side passage, breathing hard. "This way! I opened the emergency exits!" They ran together, 2 humans against an empire. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Kaelor's voice echoed through the communication systems. "Seal all exits. I want them alive." They made it to Lyris's quarters just as the doors were being locked down. The princess pulled them inside, her face pale with fear. "He knew," Hana gasped, holding up the recording device. "But we got it. We have everything." "It doesn't matter if we can't get it to anyone," Jiho said. "The palace is on lockdown. They'll search every room." Lyris moved to her communication console. "There's one person who can override the lockdown. One person Kaelor can't completely control yet." She looked at them with determination. "My father. The Emperor. If we can reach him, if we can show him this evidence, he can stop this." "Can we reach him?" Hana asked. His quarters are on the opposite side of the palace, through the most heavily guarded sections, and he's ill. Kaelor has been limiting his visitors, controlling who speaks to him. Then we fight our way through. No, Lyris said firmly. We think our way through. Kaelor expects force. He's prepared for that. We need to be smarter. Hana looked at the recording device in her hand. Millions of human lives depended on this small piece of technology. 2 years of silence, of waiting, of planning. It all came down to this moment. All right, she said. Then let's be smart. What's the plan? Outside, they heard guards taking positions. Kaelor's voice came through the door, pleasant and reasonable. Sister, I know you're in there with the humans. This doesn't have to end badly. Just open the door. Let's talk about this. The three of them looked at each other. They were trapped, outnumbered, surrounded by enemies. But they had the truth. And sometimes, truth was the most powerful weapon of all. Lyris smiled grimly. I have an idea, but you're not going to like it. Lyris moved to her private chamber and returned with a small vial of blue liquid. This is a neural suppressor, used for medical procedures. If I take enough, it will knock me unconscious for about an hour. Hana understood immediately. She didn't like it, but she understood. You're going to let him think we forced you, that we took you hostage. Exactly. Kaelor won't hurt me. He needs me alive for political reasons, and if he thinks I'm drugged, he won't question me about what I know. You two will have time to escape through the service passages while he's focused on securing me. That's a terrible plan, Jiho said. What if he doesn't fall for it? He will. My brother is arrogant. He thinks he's already won. Lyris's hands shook slightly as she held the vial. He would never believe I would willingly help humans. Not his little sister. Hana grabbed her wrist. If he finds out you helped us, he'll kill you, royal blood or not. Then don't get caught. Get to my father. Show him the evidence. That's the only thing that matters now. Lyris pulled her arm free gently. I've been useless for too long, watching my brother become a monster and doing nothing. At least this way I can help stop him. Outside, Kaelor's patience was wearing thin. Sister, you have 30 seconds to open this door. Then I'm coming in. Lyris drank the neural suppressor. Her eyes glazed over almost immediately. She swayed on her feet. Hana caught her before she fell. 20 seconds. Go, Lyris whispered, already fading. Servant passage, behind the tapestry. Code is 7439. Jiho was already moving the tapestry. His fingers flew over the hidden keypad. The wall slid open, revealing a narrow corridor beyond. 10 seconds. Hana laid the princess gently on her bed. She arranged the scene to look like a struggle. Knocked over a chair. Scattered some items. Made it look like Lyris had been attacked. 5 seconds. They slipped into the passage just as the main door exploded inward. Through a crack in the wall panel, Hana saw Kaelor storm in with a dozen guards. He went straight to his sister's side. She's been drugged, one of the guards said, scanning her with a medical device. Kaelor's expression was murderous. Find them. I want this entire palace turned inside out. They have something that belongs to me. The wall panel sealed completely. Darkness surrounded Hana and Jiho. They moved by touch, feeling their way through the narrow space. Jiho had a small light in his repair kit, but using it was too risky. Behind them, they heard guards searching the room. But the servant passages were old secrets, built generations ago for staff to move unseen through the palace. Most modern guards didn't even know they existed. Where are we going? Jiho whispered. The Emperor's quarters. Upper East Tower. Hana's mind mapped their route. We need to go up 5 levels and cross the central courtyard without being seen. Is that all? Despite everything, Hana smiled in the darkness. It was good to have someone to talk to again. Good to not be alone. I missed your sarcasm. I missed being alive. He paused. I thought about you every day, wondered if you survived. They kept me isolated, told me I was the only one left. Same. When Lyris said you were alive, it was the first hope I'd felt in 2 years. They climbed a narrow staircase built into the walls. The palace was huge, but the servant passages connected everything like veins through a body. Hana had spent months mapping them in her mind. Now that knowledge was keeping them alive. At the 3rd level, they encountered a problem. The passage opened into a main corridor. There was no way around it. They had to cross 30 feet of open space to reach the next hidden entrance. Through a viewing slot, Hana saw guards stationed at both ends of the corridor. They were alert, weapons ready. The lockdown had everyone on edge. We can't fight through them, Jiho said. Even if we could take those 2, the noise would bring dozens more. Hana studied the corridor. There had to be another way. Her eyes caught on the ceiling panels, service ducts for the environmental systems. They were narrow, but possible. Up, she said. We go up. They climbed into the ducts. The metal was cold and the space was cramped. They crawled forward inches at a time, trying not to make noise. Below, guards patrolled. Above, nothing but thin metal between them and exposure. Halfway across, Jiho's foot slipped. The duct boomed like a drum. Not loud, but in the tense silence it sounded like thunder. Below, a guard looked up. Did you hear that? Environmental systems. This whole palace creaks. Check it anyway. They heard the guard climbing toward them. Hana and Jiho froze, pressed flat against the metal. The guard's head appeared through an access panel 10 feet behind them. His flashlight swept the duct. Hana held her breath. Don't move. Don't breathe. Be invisible. The light passed over them. For a moment she thought they were caught. Then the guard grunted and closed the panel. Nothing here. Just pipes. They didn't move for a full minute. Then, slowly, they continued forward. The Emperor's Tower was the oldest part of the palace. The architecture here was different. More ornate, but also more secure. Getting in would be nearly impossible through normal means. But Jiho was a tech specialist, and Hana had been watching guard rotations for 2 years. There, she pointed to a window on the 4th floor. That's the medical wing. They don't guard it as heavily because it's supposed to be secure, but the medical staff use an older security system. How old? Old enough that someone with your skills could hack it? Jiho looked at the window, then at the sheer wall below it. First, we have to get up there. The palace exterior was smooth stone, no handholds, no ledges, designed to be impossible to climb. But there were decorative sculptures, gargoyles and architectural details meant to show the Empire's wealth and power. You're insane, Jiho said when he realized what she was planning. Probably. Hana removed her servant's shoes. Bare feet would grip better. Stay here. I'll open the window from inside and throw you a rope. You were always the crazy one on the crew. That's why they made me a spy. The climb was terrifying. Each handhold was small and uncertain. The wind picked up as she climbed, trying to pull her off the wall. Below, the palace gardens waited. A fall from this height would kill her instantly. Don't look down. Focus on the next grip, then the next, one move at a time. Her fingers found the window ledge. She pulled herself up and peered inside. The medical wing was dimly lit. One nurse sat at a desk, reading something on a data pad. Her back was to the window. Hana tried the window. Locked, of course, but it was an old mechanism. She pulled a thin piece of metal from her hair, a tool she'd been carrying for months, and worked it into the lock. Click. The window opened silently. Hana slipped inside and pressed herself against the wall. The nurse didn't turn around. Soft music played from her data pad, covering any small sounds. A supply closet held medical equipment, including rope, meant for securing patients during transport. Hana grabbed a coil and returned to the window. She tied one end to a support beam and dropped the rest to Jiho. He climbed up quickly. His tech skills were better than his physical abilities, but fear was an excellent motivator. "Now what?" he asked once he was inside. "Now we get to the Emperor." Hana pointed to a door marked Private Quarters Access. "Through there. His rooms are on the top floor." They moved through the medical wing like shadows. Twice they had to hide as staff passed by. But eventually, they reached the stairs to the Emperor's private quarters. A single guard stood at the top. He looked bored, but alert. There was no way past him without violence. Hana made a decision. She stepped into view, hands raised in a peaceful gesture. The guard's weapon came up immediately. "I need to see the Emperor," she said calmly in perfect Viridian. "I have information about Prince Kalor, information that will save the Empire." The guard laughed. "The mute human speaks. How amusing. You're under arrest for assaulting Princess Lyris." "I didn't assault her. She helped me, because she knows her brother is planning to betray your Emperor." "Treason on top of assault. You're making this worse." "Then arrest me. But first let me see the Emperor. 5 minutes. If he doesn't want to hear what I have to say, I'll surrender peacefully." The guard hesitated. Something in her tone made him uncertain. "I should just stun you now." "You should. But you won't. Because deep down, you're wondering if I'm telling the truth. And if I am, if Prince Kalor really is planning something terrible, then stopping me from reaching the Emperor would make you part of the betrayal." It was a gamble. Everything was a gamble now. The guard studied her face. Behind her, Jiho remained hidden in the shadows, ready to act if things went wrong. 5 minutes, the guard finally said. "But I'm coming with you, and if you make one wrong move, I'll shoot." Fair enough. The Emperor's chambers were beautiful and sad. Expensive art hung on walls, but the room smelled of medicine and sickness. The Emperor himself lay in a large bed, looking smaller and frailer than Hana expected. He was ancient by Viridian standards. His blue skin faded to almost gray. "Your Majesty," the guard said respectfully, "this human claims to have important information about Prince Kalor." The Emperor's eyes focused on Hana. They were still sharp, despite his physical weakness. "The mute servant. I heard you could speak now, and that you attacked my daughter." "I didn't attack her, Your Majesty. She helped me because she believes in you. She believes you deserve to know the truth about your son." Hana pulled out the recording device. "This contains evidence of Prince Kalor's plans. Plans to attack Earth during the peace treaty signing. Plans to murder billions of humans. Plans to overthrow you and seize the throne. Those are serious accusations." "I know. That's why I risked everything to bring you proof." The Emperor gestured weakly. "Show me." Hana activated the device. Kalor's voice filled the room, explaining his conspiracy. The genocide, the Krovar alliance, the betrayal, every damning word. The Emperor's face changed as he listened. Disbelief became horror. Horror became heartbreak. When the recording ended, tears ran down his aged cheeks. "My son," he whispered, "what have you become?" The door burst open behind them. Prince Kalor stood there, armed guards at his side. His eyes locked onto Hana with pure hatred. "Father," he said smoothly, "I see our prisoners have been spreading lies." "I heard the recording, Kalor, your own voice. This isn't lies." "Edited, faked. These humans are clever with technology." The Emperor looked at his son with infinite sadness. "No, I know your voice. I know your ambitions. I've been blind, but I'm not deaf." He struggled to sit up. "Guards, arrest the prince." The guards didn't move. They looked at each other, then at Kalor. Kalor smiled coldly. "You see, Father? They don't take orders from you anymore. They follow strength, and I am strong." The old emperor tried to reach for an alarm. Kalor crossed the room in 3 strides and grabbed his father's wrist. "Don't make this harder than it has to be," Kalor said. "You're sick, confused. I'm going to have to assume control for the good of the Empire." "This is treason," the emperor said weakly. "This is evolution." Hana calculated her options. There were 6 guards plus Kalor. She and Jiho were unarmed. The odds were impossible, but she'd faced impossible odds before. That's what humans did. They faced the impossible and fought anyway. She tensed, ready to attack. At least she could take Kalor down before they killed her. At least she could do that much. Then the window exploded inward. General Vex crashed through in full combat armor, weapon drawn. "Stand down," the general commanded. "All of you, this ends now." General Vex stepped through the shattered window like death itself. His armor was battle-scarred and functional, not ceremonial. This was a soldier who had seen real war. His weapon tracked smoothly across the room, covering every guard. "General," Kalor said calmly, "I'm glad you're here. These humans have attacked my father. Help me secure them." "I heard the recording, Your Highness." Vex's voice was flat, cold. "Every word. I've been conducting my own investigation for months. These humans just gave me the proof I needed." Kalor's smile faded. "You're making a mistake." "No, I made a mistake when I didn't act sooner." Vex looked at the guards. "You all have a choice. Serve a traitor or serve the Empire. Choose now." The guards looked at each other. 2 of them lowered their weapons. The other 4 raised them, pointing at Vex. "There's your answer," Kalor said. "Loyalty is a rare thing, General. You should have chosen more carefully." Everything happened at once. The loyal guards opened fire. Vex's armor absorbed the first hits, but he was outnumbered. Hana grabbed a decorative vase and threw it at the nearest guard. It shattered against his head. Not enough to hurt him, but enough to distract. Jiho dove for the Emperor, pulling him off the bed and behind cover as energy blasts scorched the walls. The room became chaos, smoke and noise and violence. Hana fought with desperate efficiency. She had no weapons, no armor, just training and the will to survive. She disabled 1 guard with a strike to his throat, took his weapon, used it to stun another, but Kalor was already moving. He grabbed the recording device from where it had fallen and ran for the door. Hana tried to follow, but the remaining guards blocked her path. "Let him go!" Vex shouted, providing covering fire. "The recording is backed up. I made copies. He can run, but he can't hide the truth." The fight was over in seconds. The guards loyal to Kalor were down, stunned, or unconscious. The ones who had lowered their weapons now helped secure the room. But Kalor was gone. General Vex removed his helmet. His face was grim. "Your Majesty, are you hurt?" The Emperor sat against the wall, breathing hard but alive. "My body is fine, General. My heart is another matter. My son, my own son." "I know, sir. I'm sorry. How long have you known?" "I suspected for 6 months. Started gathering evidence 3 months ago. But I had no proof. The prince was careful. Until tonight." Vex looked at Hana with something like respect. "The human did what I couldn't. She got him to confess." Hana was already at the window looking out at the palace grounds. "He's heading for the communication tower. If he reaches it, he can send the attack signal early. The Krovar ships are probably already in position. He'll trigger the genocide now rather than lose everything." "The tower is sealed," one of the guards said. "He can't access it without proper codes." "He's the crown prince," Jiho said. "He has the codes." The Emperor struggled to his feet. The 2 guards who had stayed loyal helped support him. "Stop him, whatever it takes. If those humans die, if Kalor succeeds, everything I've built will turn to ash." "What about you?" Vex asked. "I'm old, General, dying. Let me do one last thing that matters. I'll address the Empire, tell them the truth. While you stop my son, the Emperor looked at Hana. Go with them. You've earned the right to see this through. They ran through the palace. Alarms were still blaring from the earlier lockdown. The building was in controlled chaos, perfect cover for what they needed to do. The communication tower is in the central complex, Vex explained as they ran. 3 levels below ground, heavy security, designed to survive orbital bombardment. If Kalor seals himself inside, we'll have trouble getting to him. Then we stop him before he gets inside, Hana said. They took a maintenance elevator that bypassed normal traffic. Vex had command codes that opened sealed doors. His rank meant something. Soldiers snapped to attention as he passed, then fell in behind him. By the time they reached the underground levels, they had 12 troops following them. The underground corridors were cold and functional. No decorative art here, just reinforced walls and serious security. They were entering the heart of the Empire's military infrastructure. There, Vex pointed to a massive vault door ahead. That's the entrance to the communication center. If he sealed it... The door was standing open. Emergency lighting bathed everything in red. It's a trap, Jiho said. Has to be. Of course it is. Hana checked the weapon she'd taken from the guard. But we go anyway, because that's where he is. They moved forward tactically. Vex's soldiers knew their business. They cleared corners, checked sight lines, moved as a unit. Professional, efficient. But Hana could see their tension. They were preparing to fight their crown prince. That went against everything they'd been trained for. The communication center was vast. Computer terminals lined the walls. Holographic displays showed the positions of ships across the sector. And in the center of it all, Prince Kalor worked at the main console. He looked up as they entered, smiled. Right on time. I was beginning to think you wouldn't make it. 20 more guards stepped out of concealment. They surrounded Kalor, weapons aimed at Vex's group. These weren't uncertain soldiers. These were elite troops, fanatically loyal to the prince. Put down your weapons, Kalor said. This is over. You're right, Vex replied. It is over. For you. Still clinging to that fantasy? General, I control the military. Most of them anyway. The ones who matter. The ones who understand strength. You control some of the military. The corrupt ones. The ambitious ones. The ones who care more about power than honor. Kalor laughed. Honor. That's what my father always talked about. Honor and peace and cooperation. And what did it get him? A weak empire. Vulnerable. Bleeding resources to maintain treaties with inferior species. He looked at Hana. No offense. I've heard worse from better people, Hana said. I'm sure you have. Humans are very good at hearing things, seeing things, surviving things. That's actually why you're so dangerous. You adapt, you persist, you refuse to stay down. Kalor turned back to his console. That's why you have to die, all of you, because in 1,000 years, if we let you live, you'll be stronger than us. And I won't allow that. This isn't about protecting the Empire, Vex said. This is about your ego, your fear. Call it what you want. I call it necessity. Kalor's fingers moved across the controls. The Krovar fleet is ready. All I have to do is send the signal. The human colonies will be ash by morning, and my father will have no choice but to accept what I've done. War will unite the Empire, make us strong again, and I'll be the one who saved us all. You'll be a murderer, Hana said. Nothing more. History is written by winners, and I'm about to win. He reached for the final control. Hana fired. Her shot hit Kalor's hand, burning his fingers. He screamed and fell back. But one of his guards had already reached the console. His hand slammed down on the activation control. The communication system lit up, signals transmitted faster than light, reaching across the sector, reaching the Krovar fleet, giving them the order to attack. No! Hana ran forward, but she was too late. The damage was done. Kalor laughed, despite his wounded hand. There! It's done! The humans are already dying, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Jiho pushed past everyone and threw himself at the console. His fingers flew over the controls. Maybe. Maybe not. What are you doing? Vex asked. Buying time. The Krovar ships need targeting data, specific coordinates for the colonies. Without it, they'll have to search. That takes time. His hands moved impossibly fast. If I can corrupt the targeting data, delay it, scramble it. The protocols are encrypted, Kaylor said. You can't break them. I don't need to break them. I just need to make them useless. Jiho kept working. I was the best navigator in the human fleet. I know every colony's coordinates by heart. I can give them wrong ones. Send the Krovar to empty space. It won't work, one of Kaylor's guards said. It's working now. Jiho's face was intense with concentration. They're receiving bad data. They'll realize eventually, but it'll slow them down. Give Earth time to evacuate, time to defend. Kaylor tried to get to the console, but Vex blocked him. Enough. You've done enough damage. I've done what was necessary. The Empire needs strong leadership. The Empire needs leadership that doesn't murder billions of innocents. The standoff continued. Kaylor's guards against Vex's soldiers. Everyone armed. Everyone ready. One shot would turn this into a bloodbath. Then the main display activated. The Emperor's face appeared, broadcast to every device in the Empire. He looked terrible, weak and sick, but his voice was strong. People of the Viridian Empire, I speak to you about betrayal, about truth, and about the future we must choose. No, Kaylor whispered. My son, Prince Kaylor, has conspired to commit genocide against the human species. He has allied with the Krovar. He has ordered attacks on innocent colonies. He has done this in secret, lying to me, lying to you. But the truth has come to light, and I will not allow it to stand. The Emperor played the recording. Kaylor's own words, broadcast to trillions of Viridians across the Empire. His conspiracy, his cruelty, his betrayal, all of it exposed. Therefore, I am stripping Prince Kaylor of his titles, his rank, and his claim to the throne. He is to be arrested and tried for treason. His co-conspirators will face the same justice. The Empire stands for honor, for integrity, not for massacre and lies. Kaylor's guards looked at each other. Their certainty was cracking. They'd followed Kaylor because they believed in his strength. But now the entire Empire knew the truth. They were on the wrong side of history. One by one, they lowered their weapons. Kaylor stood alone, his hand still bleeding, his perfect plans ruined. He looked at Hana with pure hatred. You did this. One mute human ruined everything. I was never mute, Hana said. And humans are never just one thing. We're survivors. That's what we do. It doesn't matter. The attack is already launched. Even with corrupted data, they'll find your colonies eventually. People will die. Yes, Hana said quietly. People will die because of you, and you'll have to live with that. Vex's soldiers moved forward to arrest Kaylor. The prince didn't resist. What was the point? He'd lost. But as they led him away, he looked back at the console, at the signal that was already transmitted, at the death he'd set in motion. Hana stood at the controls with Jiho. Together, they worked to send warnings to the human colonies, to give them every second they could. It wouldn't be enough. Not for everyone. But it was something. We need to warn Ambassador Doyun, Hana said. And we need to reach Princess Lyris. She put herself at risk for this. We owe her. The princess is already here, a weak voice said. They turned to see Lyris being helped into the room by guards. She was pale and unsteady from the drugs, but conscious. When she saw her brother in restraints, fresh tears fell. I'm sorry, she said to no one in particular. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for, Vex said gently. You helped expose this. You're a hero. I'm just someone who did what should have been done years ago." The Emperor's broadcast continued in the background. He was calling for calm, for justice, for the Empire to remember its principles. It was a good speech, a necessary speech, but Hana knew speeches wouldn't stop the Krovar fleet. Words wouldn't save the colonies that were under attack right now. This wasn't over. The fighting hadn't even started yet. "We need to go," she said. "The colonies need to be warned in person. The communications might be jammed or ignored. Someone has to physically reach them." "That's a suicide mission," one of the soldiers said. "Then it's perfect for me. I'm already supposed to be dead." Jiho looked at her. "You mean perfect for us? You're not doing this alone." "Your Majesty," Vex said into his communicator, "we need ships, fast ones, to reach the human colonies before the Krovar do." The Emperor's voice came back weak but determined. "You have my authorization. General, take whatever you need. Save as many as you can." Kaelor laughed from where he was being restrained. "You're too late, all of you. The galaxy will burn. And I'll watch from my cell." "No," Hana said. "You'll watch us save it, and you'll know you failed." They ran for the hangar. Time was running out. Somewhere out in space, the Krovar fleet was hunting human targets. And somewhere ahead, people who trusted in peace were about to learn the cost of trust. But they weren't defenseless. Not anymore. Because now they knew the truth. And they had a chance to fight back. Hana thought about the 2 years she'd spent silent. All the waiting, all the planning, all the patience. It had been preparation for this moment, for the fight that was coming. She wasn't mute anymore, and she wasn't hiding. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. The palace hangar was massive. Ships of every size lined the bays, military fighters, diplomatic transports. Personal craft for the royal family. General Vex led them to a row of scout ships designed for speed. "These are the fastest we have," he said. "They can reach the nearest human colony in 6 hours. The Krovar fleet will need at least 8, maybe more with the corrupted coordinates." "Then we have a chance," Hana said. "A small one." Vex activated the ship's systems. "I'm coming with you. I won't send others to fix my failure." Lyris appeared at the hangar entrance. She'd recovered somewhat from the drugs, though she still moved carefully. "I'm coming too." "Your Highness, you're in no condition." "I'm coming." Her voice was firm despite her weakness. "My brother did this. I have to help make it right." Jiho was already at the ship's navigation console. "The nearest colony is New Sol, population 200,000. Mostly civilians, families. They built that world from nothing. They deserve to know what's coming." Hana felt her chest tighten. New Sol. She'd never been there, but she'd heard stories. It was one of humanity's success stories, a world where they'd built something beautiful despite all the hardships of colony life. They launched within minutes. The ship accelerated hard, pressing them into their seats. Through the viewport, Nexara Prime fell away. The palace became a point of light, then vanished among the stars. "I've sent messages ahead," Vex said, "warning every colony in the sector. But I don't know if they'll believe it, or if they'll have time to evacuate." "We'll make them believe," Hana said. "We'll make them understand." The journey was tense. Every minute felt like an hour. They monitored communications, listening for signs of the Krovar attack. For a while, there was nothing. Just the normal chatter of colony life, trade discussions, weather reports, ordinary things. Then the first distress signal came through. "This is Far Reach Station. We're under attack. Unknown ships just decloaked. They're firing on—" The signal cut to static. Lyris covered her mouth. "Oh no! No, no, no!" Vex's hands tightened on the controls. "How many lived there?" 50,000, Jiho said quietly. "It was a mining station. Families, children." Hana forced herself to stay focused. Grief would come later. Right now, people needed her sharp. Can we reach them? They're on the other side of the sector. 7 hours away. Vex's voice was heavy. We have to choose, save them or save New Sol. We save who we can. That's all we can do. More distress signals came. Liberty Point, Harmony Colony, New Vancouver. The Crovar were attacking systematically, even with bad coordinates. They were searching, killing as they went. How are they finding the colonies so fast? Lyris asked. Jiho pulled up a star map. They're following the major shipping lanes. Colony worlds are built near trade routes. It's basic strategy. The corrupted coordinates slowed them, but they're adapting. We need to adapt faster. Hana studied the map. Can we warn the colonies to go dark? Cut all transmissions? Make themselves harder to find? It would help, Vex said. But it would also cut them off from getting evacuation orders. It's a gamble. Everything is a gamble now. They sent out broadcasts on every frequency, warning the colonies, telling them to evacuate or hide. Some responded immediately. Others were skeptical. A few thought it was a hoax. Then they received a message from New Sol. This is Governor Park of New Sol Colony. We received your warnings. We're beginning evacuation procedures. But we have limited transport. We need time. Can you help us? Hana grabbed the communicator. Governor, this is Hana, former crew of the diplomatic ship Horizon. The warnings are real. You have maybe 4 hours before hostile forces arrive. Get your people to the shelters. Prepare for siege. There was a pause. Hana, we thought you were dead. They said the entire crew was lost. I survived, and I'm trying to make sure you survive too. Trust me, please. We trust you. We're mobilizing now. But Hana, we have children here, schools, hospitals. If they come, if we can't get everyone out, then you fight. You make them pay for every inch. You show them that humans don't go quietly. The governor's voice strengthened. Understood. We'll be ready. 5 hours into the journey, the ship's sensors picked up something. Multiple contacts, moving fast. The Crovar fleet, Vex said grimly. They're ahead of us. They're going to reach New Sol first. How long until we arrive? 40 minutes. They'll get there in 30. Hana's mind raced. Can this ship fight? It's a scout ship. Weapons are minimal. Against a Crovar battle group, we'd last seconds. What if we don't fight them directly? What if we distract them? Draw them away from the colony? Lyris looked at her with horror. That's suicide. Maybe. But if it gives the colony more time to evacuate, it's worth it. There has to be another way. I'm open to suggestions. The ship's sensors showed the Crovar force in more detail. 8 ships, heavy cruisers, designed for planetary assault. They were moving in formation, professional and deadly. They'll hit the colony defenses first, Vex said. Destroy the orbital platforms, then they'll land troops. It'll be a slaughter. Unless we change their priorities. Hana moved to the weapons console. Jiho, can you make our ship look bigger on sensors? Fake our signature? Maybe. If I route power through the communications array, I could create false readings. Make us look like a military frigate instead of a scout ship. Do it. We're going to make them think we're a threat. We're not a threat, Lyris said. That's the point. They don't know that. And by the time they figure it out, the colony will have more time. Vex looked at Hana with a mixture of respect and sadness. You know this probably won't work. I know, but it might. And might is better than nothing. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel on the edge of the New Sol system. The colony world hung in space ahead, beautiful and vulnerable. The Crovar fleet was already moving into attack position. Amplifying our signature now, Jiho said. His fingers danced over the controls. They should see us as a much bigger ship, a warship. The Crovar fleet's formation shifted. 3 of their cruisers peeled off, moving to intercept. It worked, Lyris breathed. They think we're a real threat. Now comes the hard part, Hana said. Staying alive. The scout ship danced through space. Vex was an excellent pilot. He used every trick he knew, evasive maneuvers, sensor ghosts, hiding in the system's asteroid field. The Krovar ships pursued, but they were big and slow compared to the scout ship. Colony is evacuating, Jiho reported. They've got ships launching, thousands of people getting away. How many left? Too many. Maybe half the population. They need more time. Hana watched the tactical display. The 5 Krovar ships that hadn't chased them were beginning their attack on the colony. Defensive platforms were firing. Small colony defense fighters launched. It was brave and desperate and not enough. We have to do more, she said. We can't, Vex replied. We've already done more than should be possible. No, we can hit their command ship, the big one coordinating the attack. If we damage it, confuse their communications, it might buy more time. That ship has armor that could take a direct hit from a battlecruiser. We're a scout ship. Then we don't hit the armor. We hit something softer. She pulled up schematics of Krovar warships. She'd studied them during her intelligence training. Every ship had weak points, places where critical systems were exposed. The question was whether they could reach those points. There, she pointed to the display. The sensor array. It's on the outer hull. If we can destroy it, they lose coordination. The other ships will have to act independently. We'll have to get very close, Vex said. Then get us close. The 3 Krovar ships chasing them realized they'd been tricked. They turned back toward the colony. But Vex was already accelerating, heading straight for the command ship. They're going to shoot at us, Lyris said. Yes, Hana replied. They are. Energy weapons lit up space. The scout ship's shields absorbed some hits, others missed by inches. Vex flew like a man possessed, weaving through the fire. Almost there, he said through gritted teeth. They shot past the command ship's bow. Vex rolled the ship, bringing their minimal weapons to bear on the sensor array. Hana fired everything they had. The array exploded. Not a big explosion, just enough to sever critical connections. The command ship's coordination systems failed, but they'd gotten too close. The Krovar ship's point defense systems locked on. At this range, there was no dodging. Brace! Vex shouted. The impact threw them forward. Alarm screamed. Half the systems went offline. The ship tumbled out of control. Jiho fought with the damaged navigation console. I can't stabilize us. We're going to crash. Where? Hana asked. On New Sol. We're caught in the gravity well. The planet rushed toward them. Through the viewport, Hana could see the colony below, cities, farms, the world humans had built with their own hands. If we're going down, she said, then we go down fighting. Vex managed to partially control their descent. They weren't going to burn up in the atmosphere, but the landing was going to be rough, very rough. The ship hit the ground at an angle. Metal screamed. Systems exploded. Hana's head cracked against something hard. Pain bloomed. Then darkness. She woke to the smell of smoke. Her head throbbed. Every part of her hurt, but she was alive. Status, she croaked. We're alive, Jiho answered. He was bleeding from a cut on his forehead. Ship is dead. We're on New Sol, about 10 miles from the main city. Vex was helping Lyris out of her seat. The princess looked terrible but conscious. The Krovar? Landing troops. We damaged their coordination, but they're still coming. The colony is fighting, but they're outgunned. Hana forced herself to stand. Her legs shook but held. Through the broken viewport, she could see smoke rising from the direction of the city. Weapons fire lit the sky. Then we go help them fight. With what? Lyris asked. We have no weapons, no supplies. We're stranded. We have ourselves. That's enough. They pulled weapons from the ship's emergency locker. basic rifles. Nothing that would stop a Crovar warrior in power armor. But something was better than nothing. The walk to the city was hard. The ship had crashed in rough terrain. They were injured and exhausted, but they kept moving. Behind them, more Crovar dropships descended. The invasion was intensifying. They found civilians fleeing toward evacuation points, families carrying what they could, children crying, the desperate chaos of people whose world was ending. "Keep moving," Hana shouted to them. "Get to the ships, don't stop." A mother with 2 children stopped. "Who are you?" "Someone trying to help. Now move." They reached the city's outskirts. Colony defense forces had set up barricades. Human soldiers fired at advancing Crovar troops. The aliens were massive, twice the size of humans, covered in battle armor. They advanced like an unstoppable tide. A young soldier saw them approaching. "Civilians aren't supposed to be here. Get to the evacuation point." "We're not civilians," Hana said. She picked up a rifle from a fallen defender. "We're help." The soldier looked at them with desperate hope. "Any help is welcome. We're about to be overrun." Vex took position at the barricade. "Then let's make them work for it." The Crovar attack intensified. They had numbers and firepower. But the human defenders had something else. Desperation, determination, the knowledge that behind them were homes and families worth dying for. Hana fired until her rifle was empty, then found another. Beside her, Jiho fought with surprising effectiveness. Lyris used her limited combat training, making every shot count. But it wasn't enough. The Crovar were pushing forward. Step by step, they gained ground. "Fall back," the soldier commander ordered. "Next defensive line." They retreated through the city streets. Every block was a new battle, every building a potential tomb. The Crovar gave no mercy. They killed everyone they found. Soldier or civilian, it didn't matter to them. Hana's mind kept counting. How many evacuated? How much time had they bought? Was it enough? They made a stand at the city center, the last defensive position before the main evacuation point. If they lost this, thousands of civilians would be trapped. "This is it," the commander said. "We hold here or we don't hold at all." Hana looked at the defenders, soldiers who'd never expected real war, civilians who'd picked up weapons to defend their homes. They were scared, outnumbered, outgunned, but they were human, and humans didn't give up. "Listen to me," she shouted. "They think we're weak. They think one attack will break us. They think we'll run." The defenders looked at her. "Show them they're wrong. Show them that humans fight. Show them that we don't break. We don't run. We stand. Right here, right now." A roar went up from the defenders. Fear transformed into fury. Despair became defiance. The Crovar charged, and the humans met them with everything they had. The battle raged. Hana lost track of time. There was only the fight, the next target, the next threat. Survival measured in seconds. Then something changed. New sounds, different weapons fire. She looked up to see ships descending. But these weren't Crovar. These were Viridian military craft. General Vex's message had gotten through. The Empire was responding. The tide turned. The Crovar, caught between human defenders and Viridian reinforcements, began to retreat. Not because they were weak, but because even they knew when a battle was lost. By the time it was over, Hana was covered in dirt and blood. Some of it was hers. Most wasn't. She sat down heavily against a wall and closed her eyes. They'd won. Today. This one battle. But as she listened to the reports coming in from other colonies, she knew the war was just beginning. And somewhere out there, more humans would need saving. More fights would need fighting. She thought about being mute again, about hiding, about waiting. Those days were over, forever. Now was the time to stand, to speak, to fight. Now was the time to show the galaxy what humanity really was. 3 days after the Battle of New Sol, Hana stood in the ruins of the city center. Cleanup crews worked around her, clearing rubble and recovering bodies. The dead numbered in the thousands, but it could have been worse, much worse. The evacuations had saved over 60% of the population. Other colonies hadn't been so lucky. The death toll across human space was climbing into the hundreds of thousands. "They want you back at the palace," Jiho said, approaching with 2 cups of something hot. "The Emperor is calling a council, all the major powers, humans, Viridians, even neutral species. They're deciding what happens next." Hana took the cup. It was tea, real tea from Earth. Someone in the aid shipments had included it. Small comforts in the aftermath of horror. "What about Kaelor?" "Still in custody. They're going to try him publicly. Make an example. It won't bring back the dead. No, but it might stop future deaths." Lyris appeared from a medical tent. She'd been helping treat the wounded for 3 days straight. Her royal status meant nothing here. She was just another pair of hands helping however she could. "The transport is ready," she said. "We should go. Father wants to see you before the council meets." The journey back to Nexara Prime was quiet. They were all exhausted. The adrenaline that had kept them fighting was long gone, replaced by bone-deep weariness and grief. The palace looked the same as before, beautiful and untouched by war. It felt wrong, obscene. How could this place be so perfect when so many worlds were burning? The Emperor received them in his private chambers. He looked even worse than before. The stress of the past days had taken a visible toll, but his eyes were clear and focused. "Come in," he said weakly. "All of you. What you did at New Sol has reached every corner of the Empire. You're heroes." "We're survivors," Hana said. "There's a difference." "Perhaps. But you gave others a chance to survive too. That matters." He gestured for them to sit. "The council begins in 2 hours. Every species with a stake in this conflict will be there. They'll want answers, explanations, someone to blame." "They can blame your son," Vex said bluntly. "This is his fault." "Yes, but blame won't stop the Crovar. They were paid for a job. They'll finish it or die trying. Their honor code demands it." Hana leaned forward. "Then we need to make finishing it impossible. We need to unite every species against them. Make this bigger than just humans and Viridians." The Emperor nodded slowly. "That's what I wanted to discuss. The Council will decide the Empire's response. Some will want to minimize involvement, say this is a human problem. Others will want full war against the Crovar." "What do you want?" Lyris asked her father. "I want what's right, but I'm dying, daughter. My influence fades by the day. The Council will look to the next ruler. They'll look to you." Lyris's eyes widened. "Father, I'm not ready. I don't have the support. The military barely knows me." "They know you now. They saw you fight at New Sol. They know you risked everything to expose corruption. You're more ready than you think." "What about the succession laws? I'm second-born. Kaelor was the heir." "Kaelor is a traitor awaiting trial. I'm changing the succession. You'll be Empress." The weight of those words filled the room. Lyris looked terrified. But beneath the fear, Hana saw something else: determination, strength, the same qualities that had made her risk everything to help. "I'll need advisors," Lyris said quietly. "People I can trust." "You'll have them." The Emperor looked at Vex. "General, you'll command the military response, full authority." "Your Majesty, I failed to stop Kaelor before." "You stopped him when it mattered. That's what counts." He turned to Hana. "And you, the human who pretended to be mute. You've seen both our species at their worst and best. I want you as official ambassador, a liaison between our peoples." Hana felt the weight of the offer. After 2 years as a prisoner, she was being given authority, responsibility, a voice. "I accept," she said. But I have conditions. The Emperor smiled slightly. I expected nothing less. What are your terms? Full access to intelligence operations. If we're going to fight the Krovar, we need to know everything about their movements, their capabilities, their weaknesses. No secrets between our species. Agreed. What else? Human colonies get Viridian military support, not as charity, as allies. We fight together, or we lose separately. Done. Anything else? Jiho becomes head of Joint Military Technology Division. He's the best tech specialist I know. If anyone can give us an edge against the Krovar, it's him. Jiho looked shocked. Hana, I'm just a navigator. You corrupted Krovar targeting data from a damaged console while under fire. You're more than a navigator. Accept the position. He nodded slowly. All right, I'll do it. The Emperor stood with difficulty. Then it settled. Let's go face the council. The council chamber was vast. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats. Humans, Viridians, the peaceful Talarians, the merchant Valdari, and many others. The air was thick with tension and barely concealed fear. Ambassador Doyen was there, representing Earth's government. He looked relieved to see Hana alive. They'd worked together before her capture. He was a good man, honest, the kind of diplomat humanity needed. The Emperor took his place at the center. Lyra stood beside him, formal in her royal robes. Hana stood with the human delegation, feeling strange in clean clothes after days in combat gear. We gather in crisis, the Emperor began. The Krovar have attacked human colonies. They did so at the invitation of my son, who conspired against both our peoples. He will face justice. But first we must address the immediate threat. A Talarian representative stood. Their species was known for pacifism and philosophy. Your Majesty, with respect, this is a conflict between you and the Krovar. Why should others become involved? Because today it's human colonies, Vex said, stepping forward. Tomorrow it could be yours. The Krovar don't stop. They don't negotiate. They destroy. If we don't stand together now, we'll fall separately later. A Valdari merchant spoke up. The costs of war are high. Trade would suffer. Economies would collapse. Perhaps a negotiated settlement? You can't negotiate with the Krovar, Hana interrupted. I've studied them. Their entire culture is built on violence. They were paid to kill humans. They'll keep killing until they're stopped or until there are no humans left. Then let the Viridians stop them, the Talarian said. They enabled this attack. Let them clean up their mistake. It's not that simple, Ambassador Doyen said. The Krovar fleet is larger than any single military force. Even the Viridians can't stop them alone. We need cooperation. We need unity. Or we need to abandon the human colonies, another voice said. It was a minor species representative, one Hana didn't recognize. Evacuate them. Relocate the populations. Avoid further bloodshed. Abandon our homes? Doyen's voice was hard. Worlds we've built with our own hands, generations of work and dreams? No, we won't run. Then you'll die. Maybe. Hana stepped into the center of the chamber. Maybe we'll die fighting for our homes. But humans have died for less. We've survived everything the galaxy has thrown at us. Hostile worlds, impossible odds, species that thought we were weak. We're still here, still fighting, still refusing to give up. She looked around the chamber, meeting eyes from a dozen different species. You think this is just about humans? You're wrong. This is about what kind of galaxy we want to live in. One where might makes right, where the strong destroy the weak, where the Krovar can kill with impunity, or one where we stand together, where we protect each other, where we say no to genocide? Pretty words, the Valdari merchant said, but words don't stop warships. No, action stops warships. Unity stops warships. Hana pointed to the display showing the damaged colonies. New Sol survived because Viridians came to help, because humans fought, Because we work together. That's the answer. Not running, not hiding, fighting, together. The human is right, a new voice said. Everyone turned. A figure entered the chamber, flanked by guards, Prince Kalor, in restraints but still carrying himself with arrogance. "What is he doing here?" Lyris demanded. "I asked to address the council," Kalor said. "I have information that changes everything." The Emperor looked at his son with sadness. "What could you possibly say that we'd want to hear?" "The truth about the Krovar contract. I arranged it, yes. But I wasn't the only one. There are others. Members of this council. Species that wanted humans gone just as much as I did." Shocked silence filled the chamber. "You're lying," Vex said. "Trying to spread blame." "Am I?" Kalor smiled coldly. "Ask the Valdari about their trade agreements. How human competition was hurting their profits. Ask the Talarians about their expansion plans. How human colonies were in their way." The accused species representatives looked uncomfortable, not guilty exactly, but not innocent either. "Even if others had reasons to want humans gone," the Emperor said, "you're the one who acted. You're the one who hired the Krovar. I'm the one who got caught. But I'm not alone in wanting a galaxy without humans. They adapt too fast, grow too quickly, compete too effectively. Give them a few centuries and they'll dominate everything. Some of us saw that as a problem worth solving." Hana felt cold. She'd known there was prejudice against humans. But this level of conspiracy, it went deeper than she'd thought. Ambassador Doyen stood. "If what he says is true, then this council has been compromised. We can't trust anyone here." "Exactly," Kalor said. "You're alone. Always have been. The only question is whether you die now or later." "Enough," Lyris said, her voice cutting through the chamber. "Brother, you may have planted seeds of doubt, but you've also shown us exactly why we need to stand together. Because people like you exist. People who divide, who manipulate, who destroy." She turned to the full council. "My father is right. I will be Empress, and my first act will be simple. We stand with humanity, fully, completely. Any species that joins us is welcome. Any that stands aside will be remembered, and any that sides with the Krovar will be treated as enemies." "You're risking the entire empire for one species?" the Talarian asked. "I'm saving the empire by showing what it truly stands for. Honor, justice, protection of the innocent. If we abandon those principles to save trade routes or expansion plans, then we don't deserve to exist." The chamber erupted in argument. Species delegates shouted at each other. Accusations flew. Old grievances surfaced. It was chaos. The Emperor raised his hand. Somehow, that simple gesture brought silence. "My daughter speaks with my authority," he said. "The Viridian Empire will defend human colonies. We invite others to join us, but we'll do it alone if necessary." "You'll lose," Kalor said. "The Krovar are too strong." "Maybe," Hana said, "but we'll make them pay for every inch. That's what humans do. We make the cost of victory too high. We make enemies regret attacking us. We survive." She looked at Kalor directly. "You wanted to destroy us because we adapt, because we persist, because we're dangerous when cornered. You were right to fear us, because now you've backed all of humanity into a corner, and we're about to show you exactly how dangerous that is." Kalor's smile faded. For the first time, Hana saw uncertainty in his eyes. The council session continued for hours. Some species pledged support. Others remained neutral. A few, uncomfortable with accusations, quietly left. But by the end, an alliance had formed. Not everyone. Not even most. But enough. As they left the chamber, Vex approached Hana. "That was a good speech. But speeches don't win wars." "No. But they win allies. And allies win wars. We're still outnumbered. The Krovar have hundreds of ships. We have dozens. Then we don't fight them head on. We fight smart. We use what humans are good at, which is surviving, adapting, refusing to die. Hana smiled grimly. We're going to teach the Crovar why you don't start wars with humanity. Because we don't stop. Ever. We fight until we win, or until there's nothing left to fight with. And even then, we keep fighting. Lyris joined them. Father wants to formally abdicate tomorrow. Make the transition smooth. After that, the real work begins. Are you ready? Hana asked. No, but I'll do it anyway, because someone has to. Because running away isn't an option. Hana thought about her 2 years of silence, of pretending to be broken, of waiting for the right moment. All of that had led here, to this choice, this stand. None of us are ready, she said, but we'll do it together. Humans and Viridians, allies, friends. Friends, Lyris repeated, like she was testing the word. Then she smiled. Yes, I like that. Outside, the sun was setting over Nexara Prime. The purple sky turned darker. Stars emerged. Somewhere out there, the Crovar fleet was regrouping, planning their next attack. But they weren't unopposed anymore. They weren't fighting a scattered collection of weak colonies. They were fighting humanity, and humanity's allies, and that changed everything. Hana looked up at those stars and made a silent promise to her dead crew, to the colonists who'd died, to everyone who'd trusted in peace and been betrayed. This war would end, the Crovar would learn, and the galaxy would remember the price of attacking humans. She wasn't mute anymore. She wasn't hiding. Now she was speaking, and the galaxy was going to listen. The war room beneath the palace had become Hana's home. Holographic displays showed the positions of Crovar ships across 3 sectors. Red markers indicated attacks. Blue showed allied forces. There was too much red and not enough blue. They hit New Vancouver last night, Jiho reported. He looked exhausted. They all did. 3 weeks of constant fighting, 3 weeks of barely sleeping. Colony was mostly evacuated, but they still lost 5,000 civilians. Hana marked it on the casualty list. The numbers kept growing. Every day, more names added to the dead. What about the defense fleet? Holding at Trinity Station, but the Crovar are moving reinforcements. Another carrier group just entered the sector. Where are they getting the ships? Vex asked, studying the tactical display. They should be running low on supplies by now. We've cut their supply lines. They're adapting, Hana said. Taking resources from conquered colonies, using human infrastructure against us. Lyris entered the war room. She'd been empress for 2 weeks. The formal crown ceremony had been postponed. There was no time for celebrations during war. I have news from the council. The Talarians are reconsidering their neutrality. The Crovar attacked one of their observation posts. Killed everyone. So much for staying neutral, Jiho said. Fear is a powerful motivator, Lyris continued. 3 more species have pledged support. Small fleets, but every ship helps. Hana looked at the display. The math was simple and brutal. Even with new allies, they were still outnumbered. The Crovar had the advantage in ships, weapons, and experience. They'd been fighting wars for centuries. This was what they did. But humans had something else, something the Crovar didn't understand. We need to change strategy, Hana said. We've been fighting defensively, reacting to their attacks. That's not working. What else can we do? Vex asked. We don't have enough ships to attack them directly. Then we don't attack their ships. We attack their will to fight. Everyone looked at her. Explain, Lyris said. Hana pulled up information on Crovar culture. They're warriors. They value strength and honor. They took this contract because it seemed easy. Wealthy target, quick genocide, easy money. But we've made it hard. Every colony costs them ships. Every battle costs them warriors. We're not collapsing like they expected. So we make it worse. We make every single engagement a nightmare. We don't just defend, we ambush, we sabotage, we hit their supply lines, their communication networks, their morale. We make them bleed for every meter of space. We make them afraid. The Krovar don't feel fear, Vex said. Everyone feels fear. They just call it something else. Respect, caution, acknowledgement of a worthy enemy. Hana smiled grimly. We make them see humans as the most dangerous prey in the galaxy. Something not worth hunting. That's a long-term strategy, Jiho said. People are dying now. Today. I know. But this is the war we're in. We can't win through conventional battles, so we win through persistence, through making the cost unbearable. Lyris nodded slowly. What do you need? Small, fast ships, volunteers for high-risk missions, and information. I need to know everything about Krovar psychology, their honor codes, their weaknesses. Over the next week, they assembled teams, human volunteers who'd lost homes to the Krovar, Viridian soldiers looking for revenge, even a few from other species who'd seen enough death. Hana trained them personally, not in conventional warfare, in guerrilla tactics, sabotage, psychological warfare, the kind of fighting that had no glory but got results. We're not soldiers, she told them. We're ghosts. We strike when they're not looking. We vanish before they can respond. We make them see threats everywhere. We make them paranoid. The first mission targeted a Krovar supply depot in neutral space. 3 ships, minimal defenses. The Krovar weren't expecting an attack. Hana led the team herself. They came in dark, all systems powered down. Drifting like debris. The Krovar sensors didn't see them until it was too late. They planted charges throughout the depot, destroyed supplies, corrupted data systems. By the time the Krovar realized what was happening, the team was gone. The explosion could be seen from 3 systems away. The second mission was more ambitious. They infiltrated a Krovar communication relay. Jiho hacked their network and planted a virus, not to destroy data, to corrupt it, make them doubt their own intelligence. The third mission went after a Krovar commander. They didn't kill him. That would make him a martyr. Instead, they captured him, held him for 3 days, treated him well, fed him, showed him human music, art, culture. Then they let him go. Why? Vex asked when he heard about it. Why let him live? Because now he knows humans aren't animals, Hana said. He's seen our humanity. That will make killing us harder, and he'll tell others. Doubt spreads like disease in warrior cultures. The missions continued, each one different, each one designed to chip away at Krovar confidence. It wasn't enough to win the war, but it was enough to change the dynamic. Then came the message. A Krovar warlord wanted to talk, not negotiate surrender, just talk. It's obviously a trap, Vex said. Probably, Hana agreed, but we go anyway, because refusing would show weakness. They met on a neutral station, Hana, Lyris, and Vex on one side, the Krovar warlord and his honor guard on the other. The warlord was massive, even by Krovar standards. Scars covered his gray skin. His eyes were cold and calculating. You fight well, he said without preamble. His voice rumbled like thunder. Better than expected. Humans were supposed to be weak. People make that mistake a lot, Hana replied. We were paid for complete extermination. Our honor demands we complete the contract. Your honor demands you die trying? The warlord studied her. You understand. Most species don't. They think Krovar are mindless killers, but we have codes, rules. We fight with honor. Genocide isn't honorable. It is when it's a contract. We were hired. We accepted. We must finish or die. Then you'll die, Lyris said, because we won't stop fighting. Ever. Yes, we see that now. The warlord leaned forward. That is why I'm here. To offer alternative. What alternative? Trial by champion. Ancient tradition. One warrior against another. Winner takes all. If we win, humans leave this sector. If you win, we abandon contract and leave forever. Hana's mind raced. It was a trick, had to be, but if it wasn't. Why would you offer this? She asked. Because the cost is too high. We've lost 40 ships, thousands of warriors. Many more will die before this ends. The contract payment was generous, but not generous enough for this much blood. You're losing, Vex said. We're winning, the warlord corrected. But slowly, painfully, without glory. This is not the war we were promised. Humans fight like vermin, strike and hide. No honor in hunting vermin. Hana understood. They'd succeeded, made themselves too expensive to hunt. The Krovar wanted out but needed a way to leave without admitting defeat. Trial by champion, she said slowly. Who fights? Our greatest warrior against yours. Hand-to-hand combat, traditional weapons, first to surrender or die loses. And you'll honor the result? On my clan's name. If we lose, we leave and never return. Contract is void. Lyris looked at Hana. This is insane. We can't trust them. Actually, we can, Hana said. Krovar honor codes are absolute. Break them and their entire culture would turn against them. He's offering us a real out. But who would fight? The Krovar are twice our size, stronger, faster, born warriors. Hana looked at the warlord. I'll fight. No, Vex said immediately. You're too important. We need you. That's why it has to be me. Because I understand what this really is. A test. The Krovar want to know if we're truly dangerous or just lucky. I need to show them we're dangerous. The warlord smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. The human is brave, foolish but brave. Do you accept our challenge? I accept. When and where? 3 days. Neutral station Bremor. The galaxy will watch. All species will see. They left the meeting in silence. Back on the ship, the argument started. You can't fight a Krovar warrior, Jiho said. You'll be killed in seconds. Maybe, but I might not be. How? Lyris asked. They're superior in every physical way. But I have something they don't. I've spent 2 years observing, learning, adapting. That's what humans do. We don't match strength with strength. We find weaknesses. We improvise. Vex crossed his arms. And if you lose, if you die, then the war continues. But at least we tried. The next 3 days were a blur. Hana trained obsessively, studied Krovar combat techniques, looked for any advantage she could find. The Krovar were stronger and faster, but they were also predictable. Their fighting style was ancient, unchanged for centuries. Humans changed, adapted. That would be her edge. The day of the fight arrived. Station Bremor was crowded with representatives from every major species. The galaxy was watching. This wasn't just a fight. It was a statement about humanity's place in the universe. The arena was simple, a circular platform, no weapons except traditional blades. The Krovar warrior entered first. He was enormous, muscles like stone. His blade looked like it could cut through steel. Hana entered next. She looked small by comparison, fragile, human. The crowd was silent. The fight began. The Krovar charged immediately, fast for his size. His blade swung in a powerful arc. Hana rolled under it, not strong enough to block, fast enough to dodge. The warrior adjusted, came at her from a different angle. Hana ducked, weaved, stayed just out of reach. She wasn't attacking, just surviving, learning his patterns. The crowd grew restless. This wasn't the fight they expected. The Krovar grew frustrated. He was used to opponents who met force with force. Hana refused to play that game. She was smaller, so she used her size. Faster, so she used her speed. Weaker, so she avoided direct confrontation. Minutes passed. The warrior began to tire. Not much, but enough. Hana saw it. The slightly slower reactions. the heavier breathing. She struck, not at his body, at his weapon hand, a quick slash that made him drop his blade. For a moment they stood facing each other, unarmed Krovar against armed human. The reversal was complete. "Yield," Hana said. The warrior looked at her with something like respect. Then he knelt. "I yield." The crowd erupted, not in cheers, in shock. A human had defeated a Krovar warrior. Impossible, unthinkable, but real. The warlord entered the arena. He looked at his fallen champion, then at Hana. "You fought with cunning, not honor, but effectively. I fought to win. That's what humans do." "Yes, we see that now." He drew his own blade. For a moment, Hana thought he would attack, break the agreement, but instead he laid it at her feet. "The contract is void. We leave this sector. You have earned our respect, human. That is a rare thing." The Krovar fleet left within days. No tricks, no betrayals. They simply went, taking their dead and their wounded. The war was over. But the cost had been enormous. Hundreds of thousands dead, dozens of colonies damaged or destroyed, entire economies shattered. It would take years to rebuild, decades to heal. Hana stood in the observation deck of the flagship, watching the last Krovar ship jump to faster-than-light speed. Beside her, Lyris, Vex, and Jiho stood silent. "We won," Lyris said quietly. "We survived," Hana corrected. "There's a difference." "What will you do now?" Jiho asked. "Rebuild, help the colonies, make sure this never happens again." Hana looked at her reflection in the viewport. She looked different than she had 2 years ago. Harder, older, changed. "I spent 2 years being silent, pretending to be weak. I'm done with that. The galaxy is going to hear humanity's voice, and it's going to listen." "The Council wants to make you a permanent ambassador," Lyris said. "Official position, real authority. I'll take it, on one condition." "What's that?" "We establish a defense pact. Not just Viridians and humans, every species that helped us, every one that stood against the Krovar. We make sure no one fights alone again." "An alliance?" "A family, because that's what we learned, isn't it? We're stronger together. Human adaptability with Viridian resources, Talarian wisdom with Valdari trade networks. All of us supporting each other." Vex nodded. "I'll support it. The military advantages alone." "It's not about military advantage," Hana interrupted. "It's about being better, about building something worth protecting, something worth fighting for." In the following months, the alliance took shape. Treaties were signed, trade agreements established, military protocols coordinated. It wasn't perfect. There were arguments and disagreements, cultural clashes and misunderstandings. But it worked. The colonies rebuilt, stronger than before. The dead were mourned, their names added to monuments on every world. Humanity had paid a terrible price, but they'd earned something too. Respect, recognition, a place at the table. A year later, Hana stood before the completed memorial on New Sol, thousands of names carved in stone. Her crew was there, captain first, navigator, engineer, friends who'd believed in peace and died for that belief. "I'm sorry I couldn't save you," she whispered to the stone. "But I didn't let your deaths be meaningless. I made them see, I made them understand. Humanity matters. We belong here, and no one gets to take that away from us." Behind her, the city had been rebuilt. Children played in parks where battles had raged. Families lived in homes built on ruins. Life continued, because that's what humans did. They survived. They adapted. They rebuilt. Jiho approached. "The council is meeting. They want to discuss expansion protocols, make sure new colonies are better protected." "I'll be there." Hana took one last look at the memorial. "We built this galaxy together, all of us. Every species contributing something, that's the future." "Think it'll last?" "I think we'll make it last." because the alternative is going back to fighting each other, and we've all seen where that leads. They walked back toward the city together. Above, ships moved through the sky, human vessels alongside Viridian ones, trade ships from a dozen species, the galaxy working together. It wasn't perfect. It never would be. There would always be conflicts, disagreements, challenges, but now they faced them together. Hana thought about being mute, about 2 years of silence, about pretending to be broken while gathering strength. It had been necessary then. But those days were over. Now she spoke, and when she spoke, people listened, because she'd earned that right. Humanity had earned that right. They'd faced extinction and survived. They'd been written off as weak and proven their strength. They'd been alone and built alliances. They'd shown the galaxy what it meant to be human, adaptable, persistent, unbreakable. The message was simple and clear. You could attack humans. You could hurt them. You could even kill some of them. But you couldn't make them quit. You couldn't make them give up. You couldn't make them accept defeat. Because humans didn't know how to quit. They only knew how to keep fighting, keep surviving, keep pushing forward. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not advanced technology, not military might, but the absolute refusal to surrender. The determination to keep going no matter what. And the galaxy had learned that lesson. Learned it in blood and fire and desperate battles. Learned it in the faces of people who refused to run. Learned it in the voice of a woman who'd pretended to be mute, but had always been ready to speak. The stars shone bright above New Sol, each one a world, each world a story. And humanity was writing their chapter boldly, loudly, proudly. Hana looked up at those stars and smiled. She'd been silent long enough. Now it was time to be heard. And the galaxy would never forget the sound of humanity's voice raised in defiance, in determination, in victory, because that was what humans did. They survived. They adapted. They won. Humanity. Fuck yeah.